I'm going to show you a couple of charts that I think are important, a weekly copper chart, and I'm going to show you the cycle analysis around that with its perfect cyclical harmonics. You'll get an idea what that means. And then I'm going to show you Dr. Copper versus 10-year yields that I think has very important information in there. Let's take a look here as we switch over to the copper chart. Now, for those of you that are brand new, first time seeing our analysis, we do cycle analysis, and it's made up of three major components. First of all, the cycle analysis, which is represented here on the bottom by cycle brackets, and those are simply a drawing tool. They give us an idea of the energetic motion in the market, just like the waves in the ocean. So it's motion of the ocean, a lot like what we do here in this analysis. These are made up of dominant cycles, that's the bigger one right in here, and they have a specific period, which is the length between lows. And then there's also a minor cycle here, and you can see each of these dominant cycles, how the ideal situation would turn out. But when there's an upward bias, in other words, upward momentum, as you can see here on our proprietary reversal scout, then it drives the market to the upside. So you had a full bullish cycle right in here, very bullish, as it translated way on the right side. We call this a bullish right-hand translation. And the same thing happened right in here. You can see that. Now, this cycle right in here was a bit different in these clear harmonics that I'm showing you, and that is that it gave up about 97% of that whole rally in that cycle. And when that happens, it's a warning that something is changing. Now, this one took more than a year to put this top in, and it was a double top, the peak right over here and a peak right over here that failed into these projection areas. Those blue areas are our projections, and you can see how they beautifully got into those levels. And then you could see this next cycle right in here. So I'm going to zoom in right now so you can get an idea of where we are right now in the copper market. And that is that this dominant cycle that you can see here was made up of these two minor cycles. This dominant cycle right in here is not complete. The first minor cycle broke the low, in other words, where it started. That's the first cycle that's done that in all of these years that I'm showing you. Then that says that the next rally will likely fail in the sell zone. And the fact that it broke underneath then made us more negative. You can see our reversal scout right in here turning negative, and it's been moving down ever since. Now, there is a synchronicity going on in here that comes out to about August 1st, where the weekly pattern and the daily patterns align. I'm not going to show you the daily, but they do align out there, and that says that right now here we are about 5 or 6 weeks from that time frame where copper is likely to keep going to the downside. But because of this negative occurrence right in here, and breaking what was this upward channel that it had been in for so long, it suggests that this next cycle out over here will have a good rally through these rising phases, but then fail and take out whatever low it makes in here, or at least test it. So what that means is that you get a rally out over here, out in towards the fall, maybe October, maybe even into November, and then the copper market weakens again. So you can see, when I look at this, you can extrapolate what might be happening in the stock market when that happens, similar occurrence. But this really points to more weakness in the copper market as you get out into this period of let's just call it the last week of July to about the middle of August, that there is this downside risk in copper, and that's a big tell. It says that the Fed actions of getting their interest rates up to 3.5%. Well, the market is already thinking they have that priced in, and they actually might. So it means a lot, and you want to get some idea about what it means when how copper acts regarding yields and what that can tell us. We'll take a look at this chart. This is a comparative chart going back about over 9 years, looking at Dr. Copper versus the 10-year yields. This is TNX, the 10-year yields I'm highlighting right in here, as you can see, and this is copper on the bottom right here. Look at the way these trace each other almost perfectly in here. And what's going on right now, of course, is that the copper market is turned down sharply. And we have talked, if you're a member, level 2, 3, and 4, you've seen our Future Speak video. And we've been talking about the fact that we think yields have peaked, and that there's going to be a period where there has downward movement in yields, maybe some upward movement in bonds, and that while they might be range bound, that they're likely to start coming down. And you can see in here the yields are just starting to come down right over here. And based on what we said in copper, with it likely moving down out into early August, well, we can see the yields coming down in here pretty significantly. If you extrapolate out that we're talking about like 3 to 6 weeks right now, besides the fact that the copper market may be really weak, well out for many months after some attempted rally, this means that yields are peaking. It means that, using correlations as we know them, the dollar is peaking. That means the euro is bottoming. Now, these are all trade ideas that are really popping out when you look at this. And what we've been talking about since the beginning of the year was that the story for gold and silver was going to be in the second half of the year. And we believe gold and silver are bottoming. Now, again, that's in the next 3 to 6 weeks. It doesn't mean you buy gold and silver right now. They're in a particular time period where there could be a downside capitulation, and silver is getting sold very hard. And stocks are likely bottoming, but again, we think that the stock market, and I'll show you that at the end of the show, is very likely to fail in the area that it's railing up to now, and then come down into the sometime into the July timeframe. That's in alignment with this, what we expect to happen in the copper market. So you can see in here what we're extrapolating out of here is there's a lot of potential changes in markets when we're looking at this. And yes, that might mean that basically for now, out into July, whatever that low is in the stock market, maybe the worst of the decline has been seen, and then the market kind of takes out those lows by a little bit. So this is important analysis when we look at this, and I wanted to show that to you, looking at these correlations, which are just astounding, between the copper market and yields. As you can see, the very likelihood that yields are now peaking based on what Dr. Copper is doing, and then this cyclical pattern in here that suggests that copper will be moving down here into the early part of August, which may very well be a tell for the stock market also, in that it's not likely to bottom until some similar time over there. There are great trades potentially coming here in metals, bonds, currencies, and we'll show you those as they set up, and you need to be, of course, to see Future Speak, a level 2 member, and to get all of our analysis on these different commodities, level 3 and 4 members, to get a good peek at all of our chart work. So please do consider becoming a member. Wanted to show you that. I think it was really important analysis there. And you get a sense that, well, things in the markets very well may be changing.